What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday. We've actually got some news to talk about this evening, DJ. I was messaging Flex last night, and I was, you know what? I was going to lie then. I was going to say I'm not a grumpy person. I'm such a grumpy person. That is such a lie. But I was like, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing really going on. Winter break vibes. We do have a game in just over 48 hours time to look forward to, so there's a bit of discussion about that. But then lo and behold, we get some news, we get some things to talk about. So we're going to talk about next manager, permanent manager, whoever that may be. We're going to talk about Pochettino, we're going to talk about Ten Hag, we're going to talk a bit about Ralph, we're going to talk about Paul Pogba, him possibly returning for the game against Middlesbrough or being very close to returning to first team action, a little bit on the transfer window. I don't want to dwell too much on it, though. I feel like we should leave that negativity. Leave that. That happened. Well, it didn't happen, but that was then. We'll just leave it. We'll leave it. Super chat right away, by the way, from Red Baron. Before we get to you, DJ, says Ajax's foundation is intertwined with the club's philosophy. I tell you what. You know it's good when you're 1 minute into the show and you're getting the word intertwined put in there. It's going to be a good one, DJ. I'm positive. United are more focused on commercialism that fundamentally dictates structure. Getting Ten Hag won't be a game changer. Poch better, ? Well, I'll tell you what, Red Baron, you've set the tone for the show on that one. We appreciate it. And you can do the same as Red Baron. When it comes to super chats, click the $sign and put your super stickers. We'll get them on the screen as well. So, DJ, Pochettino. The story that's come out today, and it's from the Mirror. So, as I always say, take it for a pinch of salt. Nevertheless, they are saying that Manchester United are increasingly confident of appointing Mauricio Pochettino as their new permanent manager in the summer. Sources in France have suggested PSG have already made the decision to jettison Pochettino at the end of the season. It continues. Richard Arnold, of course, the new chief executive of Manchester United, replacing Ed Woodward, is keen on appointing the Argentine to replace interim boss Ralf Rangnick. Ajax boss Erik Ten Hag is another name under consideration for the permanent manager's role at Manchester United, but Pochettino is the favoured choice. Pochettino's experience of the Premier League is said to be giving him the edge over Ten Hag in the eyes of the Manchester United hierarchy, who know they must get the next managerial appointment right. Pochettino has a track record of developing young players and playing attractive football, key tenets of any Manchester United manager. DJ, how are you feeling about Pochettino? How are you feeling about that report? Would you take him at United?
I mean, if Erik Ten Hag wasn't available, then possibly I would take Pochettino. However, for me, I don't think United should be putting their eggs all in one basket at the moment. I do think that we need to kind of be a little bit more strategic in how we do this. I think I just want the best candidate for the job. And yeah, they can say Poch has the experience of being in the Premier League. But ultimately, when you look at it, what did he actually fundamentally do in the Premier League? Nothing too amazing, to be honest.
That's a good point.
He didn't do nothing amazing here. So... And then if we kind of look at where he's gone to PSG, which is a super house of French football over there, and the players that he's had at his disposal, again, what has he done? Hardly anything for me.
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one because it's funny you mentioned that because I think that's from what I'm seeing certainly, and I think the fact that you've gone to it straight away is interesting. There is that the general response to Poch from people that maybe aren't as keen on him being the next permanent manager is, what has he done? That's what people keep saying. Like, what's he done? What's he won? What's he actually tangibly? You can go, okay, he won that. Where are his winners' medals, if you will? He hasn't really achieved anything. Is that a fair argument, or do you have to look at it as well? He's going to win. He's going to win the league. PSG, 10 points clear, 5 points. However, they're going to win the league, but that's given, right? The Champions League isn't over yet, and let's face it, probably should have won a league at Spurs. They bottled that, and that comes under his watch. They got to a Champions League final. Is it fair immediately to go to the criticism of he hasn't won something, so he's not right for the job? Or is it right to think that?
I think, you know what? I think with him, I think it's just looking at kind of him as a specific entity in terms of what he's done with specific players and money. And I know there's a lot of variables to sort of kind of like weigh up, but just for me, I just think he's just a bit of a nearly man. And
right.
I don't think we need nearly men. And if we flip it to Erik Ten Hag, who's my personal favourite, we could say the same for him. However, I think at the moment, there is a little bit more of X factor with Ten Hag in terms of He doesn't need world-class players to get something out of a group of players. And I think when you want a manager to come in, and he's rebuilt teams as well, and that's another thing that we're actually having to go into. We're going to go into another sort of semi-rebuild here, and we need a manager that can effectively rebuild a team. And I just think that Ten Hag, for me, is ticking those boxes, but that Premier League experience does play a factor. That does play a factor. So if I'm going to believe any report, I will say that maybe Poch is leading the race a little bit, but I still want Ten Hag to get a fair sort of like bite of the cherry. I still want him to still have, the proper interviews, the proper channels, it done fairly and square, and then see who the best candidate is.
I think that's the interesting point that you bring up there when it comes to people talking about Pochettino versus Ten Hag. Because when people say, what's Pochettino done? What's he won? Mm-hmm. The exact same argument is there for Ten Hag, isn't it? It's the exact, and really, it's near enough spot on, because you'll say, what's Pochettino? If we're judging this at the end of the season, we'll say, what's Pochettino won? You'll go, Liga. And they'll go, okay, PSG. Of course you're going to win Liga. And then you go, well, what's Ten Hag won? They'll go, Eredivisie. And you go, well, you're Ajax manager. And if anything, that title race in Holland, go look it up. It's way tighter than people realize. Like, it's really nip and tuck. It's a couple of points.
Yeah.
So then you go, well, you've won your domestic leagues, okay. And then you go, so what have you done in Europe? And then you'll say, well, Pochettino got to Champions League final. We got there with Spurs, who no one's thinking is going to get to a Champions League final. You go, what's Ten Hag done? He got to a semi-final with Ajax. Nobody's thinking Ajax is going to get to a semi-final. And obviously they played each other in that semi-final. So I think if you're going to look on paper at like achievements, it's not far off each other. And I think that's when it does go into maybe styles of football. And this is another thing I want to talk about, because another criticism I've seen of Poch, specifically from people that are maybe leaning more towards Ten Hag, is they'll say, well, actually, PSG right now, are PSG actually playing good football? Like, are the style of football that Pochettino is playing at PSG is actually good style of football? So do you think both bring a good style of football? And which style of football do you, if anything, prefer from Poch or from Ten Hag?
Yeah, so for me, I think Poch has obviously the better squad out of the two. He definitely has the better squad at his disposal. Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
And I
don't even think that's a debate. If anyone's willing to debate the Ajax squad is better than PSG, we'll have you on the channel.
Please do. Please do. But I just wanted to state the glaring obvious. Literally the glaring obvious. Poch has the way better squad. And if we're going to literally be sort of like looking at like nitpicking, I'd say that a fair, valid question. Has Poch been able to get the best out of this PSG squad in terms of their performances on the pitch? Some would argue no. Some would argue no. And that is with world-class players in most of the positions that he has. You go over to Ten Hag, who has got a whole host of very good young players, some unknown, some beginning to sort of get their names known out there. And he's playing some wonderful stuff across Europe. So what would you want? Would you want Poch to come into Manchester United with these big players? That's if Pogba stays, Ronaldo, we've gone through the whole list, Sancho, Rashford, those players. Can Poch get the best out of them, or can Ten Hag get the best out of these players? Because Ten Hag gets the best out of players that are slightly lesser. It's literally what do you want? Ten Hag, because there's a bit of a buzz around him now, do you bring him in? I think I saw reports that Rangnick prefers Ten Hag. I don't know how true that is. Don't shoot the messenger, guys. But that's what I've heard.
I told you, you're spending too much time around KG. You're getting KG sources.
I am.
Get reporting, throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks.
I'm getting in fake tier 1 Twitter journalists. I think that's what I'm getting. But it's like a flip of a coin for me, Owen. It's really close.
And I think it's interesting as well, because people will say, a PSG playing good football, but then you could argue, can any manager actually implement a style of football at PSG? Better people maybe have tried and have failed to do so. And I like to look at it the other way. If Erik Ten Hag was the manager of PSG right now, would he be able to implement his style of football there, considering the players and the player power and the structure that's there as well? Because if Pochettino was at Ajax, and I'm just playing devil's advocate because I haven't even myself really made up my mind here. If Pochettino was at Ajax, I think he'd probably have better success in implementing his style of football than he does at PSG, because I think of the situation there. So I think it is I think it's a really interesting topic to talk about. Ben Oram says, Hag's style of play is my preference. Being able to keep the ball and move it around quickly, not slowly like Van Gaal, will help dominate games. I think a lot of people, when you talk about styles of football, are probably leaning more Ten Hag. Here's one, though. What if PSG win the league, the Champions League this season?
I guess then...
We're saying that like it's impossible, but that is really not.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess... if he does that, then by merit, you give him the job. You do. You give him the job because he just won the
PSG
Champions League.
Keep him.
I honestly think that relationships between Poch and PSG are really getting to that point where they don't really care for each other. I think they're just trying to see
Champions League.
Yeah, I think Poch has made his mind up. Especially if United say, Poch, you're definitely under consideration. And again, Poch might think he is the favourite because he has and that's the first. If I was Poch, that's the first thing I'm saying when I go in that interview room. I've played in this league before, guys. I've been here before. I had a very decent Tottenham side, and no one expected a lot from us, and we played well. We did some good things, but that's the first thing I'm saying. So if Poch feels he's the favourite, this is what you do. All that Champions League does, it just boosts your profile as a manager, and maybe in his eyes, makes him the undisputed number one contender for the managerial position at Manchester United. And maybe he just uses that as accolades to say, look what I've just done, so you give me the job. I don't think he'd stay at PSG. I really just don't think he would. I think the relationship there's turning sour very quickly.
Super chat from Keegan says, appointing Poch means we accept a longer period without any majors. Employ monkeys and get the circus. Nothing changes until the Glazers leave. Red Baron also says, can anyone explain the differences between Ten Hag and Pochettino style? I'm uneducated on Ten Hag style. It's a good point, actually. I think there are fundamental differences. I think maybe Pochettino is less possession based than maybe than Ten Hag. The best way that I would probably describe it, and again, Red Baron, I'm not going to be one of these people that pretends like, oh yeah, I'm a massive Ten Hag expert, because I'm not. I do not watch the Eredivisie every single week. My exposure to Ten Hag is probably the same as yours. From what I have seen, and from talking to people and watching people like Ajax, the people on the Ajax fan channel, which is great, by the way. If you want to get a bit of an education on them, go watch them. They're great. They're so good. The best way I could look at it as is maybe Ten Hag is maybe closer to a sort of a pot. Ten Hag is closer to a Guardiola,
Pep.
and maybe Poch is maybe a bit closer to. I mean, we've seen what Poch does, isn't it? I wouldn't necessarily say he's possession based. I would say he's high tempo pressing, maybe closer to maybe like a Klopp. I don't know, but I wouldn't say he's to what like a Pep is. That would be my best kind of comparison. Ten Hag is more like Guardiola, much more possession-based, much more technical-based. Yeah. And on the flip side, a lot of people are saying, I remember Cam said it several times on the channel, if anything, that's his concern about Ten Hag coming to Manchester United is that, do we even have the players?
And that's what I was going to talk, and that's what and if we're really going to really do this debate as fed, it's good to sort of like spread the information out on both sides. If you look at Poch, if Poch came into Manchester United with the players that we have in terms of typecast players, positionally, it fits. Poch would fit way more with this group of players right now. He could go in right now, 4-2-3-1, whatever it is, 4-3-3, and get it done. He can do it straight away. Not saying Ten Hag can't do that. What it seems like to me is that Ten Hag's a manager that needs literally all the ingredients to make something work. They need if Ten Hag comes in and Rangnick and all the powers that be say, look, you've got 250 million or 200 million for this transfer window. Here's your core of the team. So they keep the technical players like your Sanchos, Ronaldo, whatever. Here's your core. Build whatever else you want around that. I think maybe Ten Hag could do something with that. I think Poch could maybe only really, in my opinion, spend 80, 90 million of that 200. Let's say we get a 200 million war chest, and he'll be able to add maybe one or two players in and get on with it. Because I think it's just the way our team is built kind of best for Poch in how he wants to play, in terms of, we've got good wingers, we've got good attacking players. It's just maybe the midfield would be an issue, which is always going to be an issue. But I think Poch's style fits right now for this team.
This is a curious thing as well, isn't it? So that report saying that basically the reason why Poch is really, or the Manchester United board are really confident of getting Poch is because PSG have basically come to the realization of they don't really want him anymore. And come the end of the season, they're going to be looking elsewhere as well. Should we be concerned as Manchester United fans that we're so interested in a manager that a club like PSG are so quick to basically get rid of because they don't like him? Is that a concern in your mind?
I think it would be. I think we don't really understand the full scope of what's going on over there. But I do think that, if PSG don't want him, and that let's say he does win the Champions League and they still don't want him, is that something personal? Or is it to do with his style as a manager? Like we got to ascertain which one it is. If it's because they don't really like his style, performance based, then we need to be worried. If it's just a personal thing, he doesn't get on with this person, then whatever. But I do think if we go for Poch, I can see maybe PSG getting Ten Hag. Maybe, who knows? I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, some people saying possibly Zidane. I know PSG. I mean, because we kind of spoke about this before we went live. That I truly believe, and it's been put out there a couple of times, that if the Pochettino deal could have been done after Oli was sacked, he would be the United manager.
He would be the manager. Yeah,
because I think he wanted it. I think he absolutely wanted it, and then it just became very apparent that PSG, and it all hinged on PSG getting a replacement, i.e. Zidane. They couldn't do that. And then they were like, nah, wait till the end of the season. And then this interim manager comes in and Rangnick, and it kind of gets smoothed out. And maybe United give themselves more time to come to that decision, considering, circumstances like getting a new CEO. There's a lot going on in the club. So I don't know. For me, it's a red flag, certainly. And I think, because we always talk about best in class, don't we? Best in class, best in class manager, best in class players. Well, if Poch isn't good enough for PSG, is that a worry? But then I think, like you said, I don't know if it's necessarily because he's not a good coach. Everyone knows Pochettino's a good coach, but we've heard these rumblings about him not being happy there, whether it comes to his relationship with Leonardo, sporting director. Flex did a really good interview conversation with Parisian Londoner here on the channel, and he was sort of just saying that he just doesn't like the way the club is set up in Paris, whereby you are a coach, you coach the team, but even that is loose to the sense of like you might not even pick the full team. Like you basically get told this guy plays, fit him in. This guy, we're bringing in this guy. There you go. We're giving you a player. Yeah. Now, I think at United the transfer system is pretty close to that as well. In fairness, people show up, people leave. Ask Ralph. Yeah. He'll tell you. I told people they could leave, and I wanted people to stay. And look, I just saw coach decide, but maybe that's because he's an interim manager. Yeah. But I think it'll be a mutual thing at the end of the season. If PSG aren't happy with him, because again, like they could win the Champions League. I'm not sure they necessarily will. They're certainly not it's crazy to say they're not the favourites considering their squad, but they're probably not the favourites. And if a decision comes where PSG go, we'll probably look somewhere else, he'll be like, cheers. Thanks. Yeah. Don't even pay my severance. I'm going to walk into another job. Yeah. So it's a curious one. I think that.
Yeah. Do you know what I think?
Easy option.
I think if we're looking long term, I think United fans now would like us to build sort of like a dynasty in terms of from the ground up. Glazers, I'm Glazer out. Doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. So the next best thing is to sort of write the system and the structure within the club in terms of personnel. And when we look at that, we still have sort of like, the Matt Judges, the Richard Arnolds, stuff like that. But if you do put a Rangnick behind the scenes as this, what was it again? What's this
consultant?
That's it, consultancy role, which is the vaguest thing ever. But he's a consultant nonetheless. And then you bring in someone like a Ten Hag who has come from a very good, structurally good club in Ajax. You bring him over. The hope for me as a fan is that we can maybe replicate that and build on that and have an actually good structure, like a structural system behind the first 11, which can then lead to success on the pitch. I think Ten Hag would be the perfect person to bring in. For me, if you bring in Poch, you might not get that same kind of feel to it. You get a good coach, you do, but you don't really get that same. Because right now, I think United, what they want to do is just copy the blueprint that Ajax have done. Just copy that, and I think if we did,
do they want to do that, or do we want them to do that?
I think we want them to do that. Yeah, and there you go. So I think what Man United want to do is do a halfway house. I think some of the people that are behind the scenes still want a bit of power, but they're willing to sort of we'll bring in these coaches and these people to make it look good for the fans. But then who's really in control? And it's always going to be that question. So if Poch doesn't like what's going on in PSG, Pochettino, if you're watching, I've got news for you, mate.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing for both of them, though, isn't it? So Pochettino might not like the structure at PSG. You go, okay, what are you walking into then at Manchester United? But then on the flip side of it, I mean, we know the structure to a point, but there is kind of a new structure a bit at the moment because Richard Arnold's the new chief executive, and he obviously wants to do things slightly differently to Ed Woodward. So we've heard, and have football people making football decisions. Ralph Rangnick's featured into that house of cards somehow.
Yeah.
And then I guess when it comes to Ten Hag, and people are saying, well, the reason he's doing so well at Ajax is because he's got this great structure surrounding him in Van der Sar and Overmars as director of football, Van der Sar as CEO. Can he do that at Manchester United, where people have those roles in title, but I mean they're not very effective? So would that hamper his ability to have real change at Manchester United too?
I think it would. I think it would, because ultimately the Glazers have the final say on a lot of things. And you know, I always hear sort of mixed reports about Joel Glazer. I hear, he's really in tune with Manchester United. He really wants to make a difference, but if we was completely honest,
come on.
If I ever met him, if I ever met him, I'd say, you really want to make a difference? And he'd probably say, yeah, you know, we really want to make a difference with Manchester United. And I'll say, listen, mate, you've been here.
That's Frank Lampard the other day, and now
hey,
that's America.
Come on, come on. But like,
come on.
I just say, look, you lot have been here for a very long time. What success have we had since you've been here? Let's sit down and really go for it. So the effect that you have on this club isn't as great as you think it is, or your mind's eye thinks it is. So I think structurally, you bring in someone like Ten Hag if you want to kind of begin those stages of getting a nice structure behind the scenes. Because remember, I think Ten Hag's, who's older, by the way? And I think Poch, is he 53 or something like that? 54, 53.
Yeah.
And Ten Hag, I think Ten Hag might be a little bit younger. I think he's maybe like 50. Maybe. I think it was his birthday the other day, actually, a couple of days ago. Yeah, but if there's anyone in the comments,
I haven't got my Ten Hag calendar.
Sorry.
To be honest.
Guys, if anyone knows in the comments, please,
put it in the chat. Put it in the chat.
How old?
I mean, I could literally just Google it, but
I do get the feeling. Ten Hag's younger, but now look, I'm clutching at straws. I'm looking at ages now. I think Poch has got a nicer haircut, you know.
He's bald.
Yeah,
like a game of Guess Who, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I think that it's going to rumble on. I think the thing that might be the issue is that, like I said, is that maybe it's just a case of Poch might be the easiest one to do, and Ten Hag might be the more difficult one to do. And when it comes to a point of, I guess there's a lot to do in the summer, like not just the manager.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll be like quick wins. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Which one out of the two do you think?
Conflicting ages, by the way.
Oh, okay.
In the chat,
it's not helping us at all.
I don't know. 52, 53. Is Poch 53? Poch 55? Ten Hag 50? I don't know. Guys, you're worse than KG. All of these sources. I don't know what's going on with it. Man.
Yeah. But who knows?
Way,
Ten Hag could turn us down. Ten Hag could go for the interview,
maybe
ask his questions to get, his information, and might say, actually, this isn't for me. I'm sorry. So,
exactly. And like you said, if Poch is looking, because we know when it comes to managers, it's basically a domino effect, isn't it? So say we do get Poch, and because we can only get Poch because actually PSG have actually spoken to Ten Hag already, saying, look, we're going to get rid of Poch. You can come in at PSG's kind of situation because we're not going to get Zidane, because Zidane's looking at possibly managing France after the World Cup at the end of the year. There's lots of different moving parts on this one. And I don't think, obviously it's going to continue to rumble on. I think it's looking more like, I think the reason we get linked to Poch so much is because he wants the job and it's the easy one to do. But I think a lot of people think that maybe that's like the safer one, and we want to see Manchester United do something different.
Yeah.
But whether or not we do it, who knows? El Trigger says Poch doesn't do well with big ego players, and United is full of them. Ten Hag would be great. His style is defending and more ball possession. 4-3-3. It's a good point.
But Ten Hag's never managed big game.
Exactly.
That's what I mean.
Exactly. This is why the debate when it comes to Pochettino or Ten Hag can, and probably it could feel like we could do it for hours here this evening, because as much as like they're slightly different. They're also very similar in
Yeah.
terms of when you look at like their CV as well. And
Yeah.
I mean, like I
It
said, you could
depends
go
what
on
you
and
want
on and on.
United to be. Do you want United to be sort of a possessional based team? Because that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring sort of maybe that Ajax model to this United team. And looking at the players we have, can they do it? I think some can. I think others can't. But again, and it also depends on how much money are the board looking to give this new manager that comes in. Because I believe, this is what I believe, I think Ten Hag will need a little bit more money than, say, Poch, in my opinion. I think Ten Hag would have to spend more.
Poch is 49. Poch is 49 and Ten Hag is 52. That's the confirming thing. That's what people are saying. Poch is 49, Ten Hag's 52.
Yeah, cool. Well, there's nothing in it.
So Poch is even younger.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Well, and obviously to round up this managerial discussion, is there any chance of Ralph being the permanent manager first game of next season?
I think there is. I think there is a chance. I do think,
based on
do.
What?
If he wins the Champions League,
do you reckon that's the only chance he has to be the permanent manager?
Yeah, only chance. But then again, I do think the board are going to want to talk to Ralph and see, in terms of where this team is going and who can actually get the best out of them, and can work well with Ralph. If Ralph says, in my humble opinion, guys, you bring Erik Ten Hag in, you give him X amount, then you take. I do believe you take Ralph's recommendation. I think he's done enough in a short space of time to warrant a clear say on who's next. He's seen his players. He knows kind of what's going on. He's brought back, you know what he's brought back for me, Ralph has? I'll give him his credit. He's brought back just being a real manager, not trying to be the players' friends. I like that. He's literally pulled rank a few times, like, yeah, I'm the manager. I'm doing this for the betterment of the team. It doesn't matter about what you think or how you feel. And I like that. I like that. No one's getting nicknames and this little pet names. He's not doing any of that. He's just here to manage, and that's his job, and that's what he's doing. But I mean, I don't think he should stay, in my opinion. I think we should just carry on with our plan. He moves upstairs, because if he stays as manager, we lose that person behind the scenes that knows what they're talking about. So I'd rather get two for the price of one. Yeah, you go upstairs, Ralph, and you bring a new manager in. I'd rather do that.
What if, maybe you say the only chance he's got is if he wins the Champions League. What if he doesn't win the Champions League, but from now to the end of the season, we play actually good football and very comfortably get top four? And we actually, when we go to Anfield, we beat them. And when we go to like the Etihad, we beat them. Would there be part of your head that go, well, maybe?
No, because I think Ollie used to beat Pep quite a lot, to be fair. And Ollie used to beat Pep a lot, and look, still he left. So no, I think when wires start getting crossed, it starts creating unnecessary pressure and unnecessary expectations. So I do think if Rangnick just knows, I'm here to the end of the season to hand it over, and I'm going to have a say in the next manager, that's my job. Cool, that's it. There's no added pressure to it. Just do what you need to do, and that's it.
As David Lee says, guys, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. We'll talk about Paul Pogba as well. He's been back in training for a couple of weeks. Obviously, he's been out of action for, it feels like ages. When was it? Like October? He suffered that injury, the thigh injury on international duty. Either way, it's been reported by, let me just get I always want to shout out the journalist, Sami Mokabel from, that's Daily Mail, saying that, and apologies if I butchered the last name, because I feel like I have. I feel like absolutely 100%. I'm the worst with pronunciations. Anyway, he has reported that Manchester United staff will make a late decision on whether Pogba is available to be selected for Friday night's FA Cup tie against Middlesbrough, as they take a cautious approach to his return from a long-term thigh injury. Pogba is now very close to being ruled fit enough to make his return to first-team action. If Pogba is not risked against Middlesbrough, he could come back into contention for next week's Premier League fixtures against Burnley or Southampton. So, Pogba is nearly back. Do you think he starts on Friday? Well, actually, put it this way.
I think he makes an appearance.
Will he start? And should he start?
I don't think he should start. I think he should get some minutes. I do think he'll come on around 60, 70 minutes, get a little run out. But let's build him back up slowly. He's had, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure it's like one big injury now for the past 3 seasons that keeps him out. Or is it 2 seasons?
Time out, doesn't he?
It's always around is actually all. I could be wrong, but it seems to always be around just after the summer. Literally, just after the summer, it gets a bit colder. Pogba's out for an extended period of time, so let's just phase him in slowly. I do think he should feature at Middlesbrough, but I don't think he should start.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for him to start would be surprising, considering the Premier League fixtures we have coming up. I think it would be quite surprising. I mean, I can see both sides of the argument. I can see the idea of saying, well, he starts, he plays 60 and he comes off guaranteed. But then I can also see the mindset of he definitely shouldn't start. We should ease him back in. He can come on for the last half hour or something like that. So I'm with you. I don't think he will start. I mean, we've spoken about, I feel like we always talk about Paul Pogba, and I'm sure when I'm doing the press conference tomorrow, there will absolutely be a question about Paul Pogba. There always,
Several,
I mean,
maybe.
before the injury, there was always one. There was always one. Then Ronaldo came in, and then you always get the Ronaldo question. So they'll probably get both tomorrow, which is exciting. I'm sure I love that. But how important is he going to be for United for the remainder of the season? Obviously, there's some sort of stories coming out today, basically saying that Manchester United. This comes from Paul Hurst from the Times, is saying that Manchester United officials have told Paul Pogba and his representatives to wait until the club appoints a new manager before he decides where his future lies. Which, to be honest, is like, if I was Paul Pogba, it's a lot to ask, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's quite a bit to ask of you, being like, don't make your mind up yet. Don't talk to other clubs. Just wait till we get a new manager in. My response would be, when are you going to do that then? We're working on it. I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I do think United are moving in haste to try and find this next manager, and we're probably going to see reports within the next month or so start ramping up really like a lot.
Yeah, I think we'll get an official announcement by like April, March, something like that. I think.
Yeah, and I think it would be in their best interest to get the manager in early, or even name the manager early, get all the paperwork done, and then they come in end of the season, because then they'll know what that manager's plans are, and then they can start notifying players before the summer really kicks in. Yeah, this manager wants you in, this manager doesn't, this manager wants you. Like, we'll know what the squad's going to look like a little bit and what manager we have. And then players like Pogba can make decisions. But if I'm Pogba anyway, I'm going to agree a couple of deals across Europe. And then maybe just because it's Man United, I might just sit there and wait. Let's see who they get in. Okay, this manager, maybe meet the manager before I make my decision. And then, yeah, but I think he should wait till the very, very last minute before he decides anything.
How important do you think it's going to be for the remainder of this season for us? I mean, we didn't get a new signing in January, but is he the equivalent of a new signing? Not only is it Paul Pogba returning, but it's a Paul Pogba under Ralph Rangnick that we've never seen before.
That's true. Yeah, I think he'll be important. It just depends where he plays. I
think my next question. What system?
I think if he hasn't got match fitness at the moment. We still got to build him up slowly. In that regard, I wouldn't play him centrally. I'd play him maybe a little bit wider than usual, so that left-hand channel. Obviously, he's not a left winger, but he's more like a left inside midfielder, if you will. I'd play him there, or if we're going to play the 4-2-2, I'd like to see him maybe in the 10. I think that would be a perfect position for him, to be fair. And we might even go back to that, who knows? But it depends on the system. 4-2-2, I could see it work. Left hand side 10. Bruno right hand side 10. 4-3-3. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if they played Pogba further upfield, if you still wanted to do sort of like a flat midfield three of Bruno and McFred, and then have Pogba maybe the left side at the top. I don't know, but
could you do that? Could you do that with a 4-3-3? Because it feels like in the 4-3-3, like the Elanga or sort of Sancho position, they're very wide, like winger wide, so they're not sort of cutting in wide.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but could you change one of those roles then? Could you say, actually, okay, Sancho, right hand side, you've got to hug the touchline as much as you can, because left hand side it's essentially going to become a front two. Yeah, at times with Pogba cutting in so much. Could you do that?
Yeah, you could. I definitely think you could do that, especially if you've got someone like Alex Telles that's willing to cover the ground behind Pogba when he comes inside. And I think that's where good coaching comes into play. If you can make an effective system where Pogba is playing on the left-hand side of the pitch, in that left-hand channel, he's not quite a winger. He's able to sort of still mix in with the midfield in terms of the play and support Ronaldo up top. why not? And I think he would. I think he'd thrive playing further forward because the defensive responsibility is a bit less. So, but again, we got. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually excited to see what Ralph comes up with because it is a conundrum that we need to figure out.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's quite a curious one because, again, we know what Pogba looked like under Ollie. We know what Pogba looked like under Jose. We have obviously no idea, no point of reference to what he's going to look like under Ralph Rangnick. So I'm curious. I mean, do you think Ralph can get the best out of him? Because what we have seen, legitimately, we talk about McTominay and Fred, they've played better under Ralph Rangnick. They have improved. Anthony Elanga, he's broken into the first team under Ralph Rangnick. He's playing better under Rangnick. I mean, we're defending. I still debate whether we're defending a lot better, to be honest with you. We're keeping more clean sheets. I feel like we're conceding the same amount of chances. But Dalot, Tellez, playing better under Ralph Rangnick. Can Pogba play better under Ralph Rangnick? Can Rangnick get the best out of him?
I think he can. I think he can get maybe a different Pogba. And some of the performances I've seen Paul Pogba do over the years, I've seen some performances which negate his attacking creativity. He'll have a good game, but it'll be a quiet game. He'll just do the basics because he's playing a lot deeper than he'd usually want to. And then I've seen him being able to be unleashed. And I think Ralph can get something out of Pogba. Ralph's a very good coach. Tactically, he knows what he wants from his players. And he would have seen Pogba up close and personal now. I imagine this though, Owen. Imagine, right? Just imagine. Imagine Ralph unlocks, imagine he unlocks Paul Pogba. And we get an amazing version of Paul Pogba right to the end of the season. And that's Ralph's doing.
Yeah, then
I think the Twitterverse would go up. Like, United fans would be like, tell him to stay, try and get Pogba to stay. But we've got to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, we could absolutely see it. Who says that Rangnick doesn't see Pogba doing something completely different that other people haven't seen? Like I've said, there are players that are playing better since Rangnick came in. Dalot, Tellez, McFred, they're playing better. I mean, Elanga's coming to the side too. There are players that have improved. Is Paul Pogba going to be one of them? Obviously, only time will tell. I think it's curious as well because this is what's weird about the 4-2-2 as well, is that if we were playing this high-intensity, high-press football that I think Rangnick initially wanted to do, you would look at Paul Pogba and say, I don't know about that. Because he's not a high-pressing player. But we're not playing that. I think Rangnick's abandoned that relatively quickly. We have moments in a game where someone might press someone and we go, everyone's like,
hey, guys,
we're pressing. Look at it. We're pressing. He's a genius. And then you realize, actually, you watch like Liverpool City play, you go, we're not pressing.
We're not pressing.
They just decided to chase the ball for a couple of seconds. So I don't think we're playing like that. I think we're actually playing a bit more possession-based, which is quite curious. So maybe that does fit into Paul Pogba. I mean, is the sort of the way that Rangnick has sort of tweaked things in his philosophy, does that suit Paul Pogba more?
I think maybe because we've seen Ralph sort of like tweak a number of players, and it's literally due to his coaching. Like Bruno now is playing in a flat 3. Bruno is literally dropping on the halfway line, being able to pick passes, playing very different to how Ollie had him playing. And I think Bruno's performances have been a little bit more consistent. They have. We're getting a baseline level of Bruno now. He's doing things a little bit more consistent. He's playing a little bit more simpler, but still effective. I look at, again, you mentioned Dalot and Tellez. Again, they're playing so different under Rangnick than they did under Ollie. Again, it's down to the coaching. Fred in particular, and not even McTominay. Forward passes, way more, still goes side to side a bit too much, but we're seeing a slight improvement in his game, and he's had some man of the match performances. You look at Fred, he has literally had some really good performances in the United shirt, the best for him in the United shirt in a long time. He's chipping in with assists, he's getting forward, he's breaking the line. So if he can do that with those players who aren't as good as Paul Pogba, imagine when he gets Pogba on the pitch and can get Pogba doing whatever. We're not managers. I'm not a tactician. Ralph is though. And if he can get the best out of Pogba, it might be something to be excited about.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one. I do. And like I said, I'm not sure if he'll play on Friday. I think he'll come on. I'm not sure he'll start, but time will tell. What I do want to talk about very briefly before we wrap things up is just a little bit on the January transfer window now that it has passed. Again, we don't want to be dwelling on it too much because why depress yourself? why make yourself unhappy in your own home? It is quite curious though that Fabrizio Romano has essentially said that Manchester United didn't want to sign anyone in January because a new manager is arriving in the summer, essentially saying they don't want to bring someone in when there's an interim at the club. And that new guy in the summer who comes in may go, oh, I would have never got this player, or I'm going to play a completely different system.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the right move? Do you think some people are maybe being a bit overcritical or over negative of us not bringing someone in, especially with so much that's going to change in the summer?
Yeah, you know what? I've been watching this debate rumble on through Twitter and everything, and I've been sitting down and I was literally just quietly gathering all the information and thinking, what do I think? Literally, what do I think about this? And honestly, I just think that we're right to not buy anybody. And I know that might sound crazy. I know we need a midfielder and all of this stuff, but you know what? Get a youth player, get James Garner, whatever. Like, just for now, we just need to go with what we've got. Let's try and secure top 4. I know players are going to be knackered, burnt out, but we're gonna have to take that risk, because what you don't want is another player on the wage bill that by the time the summer comes might not be used, and we're going to literally be back to square one in the situation that we're trying so hard to get out of from the past 2 managers. We've had a bloated squad. We've had a number of players go out on loan now because they weren't getting game time, because they weren't getting used. And let's just bring a new manager in now. So that manager, that's one less player they have to shift if we brought someone in. Do you know what I mean? So, I think it was smart. I think a lot of us are being a bit overcritical, I think, in my opinion, just over, we haven't signed anybody. But I knew before January even come, we weren't going to get anybody. And I also was saying that, look, just wait till the new guy comes in so they can have their stamp on the team. Don't buy a player who, like, Rangnick might recommend a player or whatever, but ultimately he looks like he might not be the main guy next season. So why have another player who we're going to be having question marks over if they're going to fit in this United squad? So, that's the long-winded answer to, I think it was the right decision. We didn't buy anybody. I think it was the right decision.
You know what, DJ? I agree with you, because I had the same kind of process that you did, and that I saw these people getting very angry and very frustrated. We're not bringing anyone in. We're letting all of these people go.
Yep.
And I do kind of sit there and say, but I mean, realistically, what do you want? Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want us to sign a player for the sake of signing a player? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Are we saying that if we got, because the reports come out about Zakaria and come out about Kamara, are we saying that if we got one of those players in, we would get the top 4? I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. I really don't. I mean, again, Romano said that United had discussions with Zakaria's agent in December, but United decided to wait for a potential summer move. And then Juventus essentially jumped in. Man United were offered Kamara in the final 3 days of the January transfer window. It was a serious possibility, but United decided against making a signing. So you've got Zakaria and Kamara there. United were at some point interested, but their intentions has always been, we're just waiting until the summer. We're waiting until the summer. And I think, if you're going to be critical, I do think you also have to look at it from the other side as well and say that in the past, we have been so critical of Manchester United for panicking, or we've been so critical of buying players in without a long-term vision or a long-term plan. Does Kamara and Zakaria, do they fit that long-term plan? I mean, the answer would be no, because at the moment, we don't have a long-term plan because we don't know what it is. We don't know which manager is going to be implementing that plan. So we don't have a long-term plan. We're just bringing people in for the sake of panicking, basically. We know we want to get a midfielder. We know we want to get a defensive midfielder. Are they the answer right now? They're the people that are available right now. There's a difference between who's available and who we want or who we need. Yes, we could have got those guys. Absolutely, we could have. And they were available and they were offered. But maybe it's just a case of actually United going, you know what? I'm not sure. People see Juventus come in for Zakaria and they'll go, But why aren't United coming from? Because the Juventus came in. Well, look at Juventus right now. Juventus aren't all that at the moment.
Exactly.
Who's to say he's going to go to Juventus and do really well? Kamara, possibly if we had got him in, it might have made a difference, but it might not have as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, I still look at our squad and say that if you want to compare it to Arsenal's, you want to compare it to Spurs, you want to compare it to West Ham's, we still have the best squad out of those people.
Yeah.
And realistically, we should probably get top 4.
Yeah.
We've got the quality to get that.
Yeah, and you're right, Owen. I think sometimes with Manchester United fans, like, we kind of forget ourselves because, just as you said, like, damned if United do and damned if they don't. Like, when Donny came in, people said it was a panic buy. When Cavani came in, people said, oh, it was a panic buy. It was never in. So what do you guys want? United are being a little bit more, we're acting a bit more mature now as a club. And we're like, you know what? We're not going to panic buy. No point shelling out millions when we could save those millions for the manager who's going to get a player that they actually want and want to identify when they hand in their list. Let's just hold fire on it. As you're right, we've still got the better squad out of the teams fighting for that 4th position. Yes, it's going to be a little bit dicey in terms of players are going to be tired and stuff like that. I saw people on Twitter basically saying, oh, we've weakened our team. No, because those guys weren't playing. They were not playing. They literally were not playing games. So exactly, we're in the same position as we were before they left. We weren't playing them. So, you know, I'm you know what? I'll give United props. I'll give them props. I'm glad we didn't buy anybody. Let's wait for the new manager to come in. And don't you think that's a tough sell to any player? Oh yeah, come play for Man United. Well, don't know. We can't tell you the manager's going to be in the next couple of months. But yeah, just come play for us. Like, a player wants to know your plan, the vision, like where they fit in the grand scheme of things. And ultimately, they're never going to know where they're going to fit in because they haven't been selected by the permanent manager. So, yeah.
And also, as well, when it comes to people like Kamara, maybe he is the right guy. He didn't go anywhere in the end, did he? Big game in the summer. So, I mean, Zakaria went to Juventus, but then maybe that's because, guess what? Juventus are desperate at the moment. Yeah. They're not doing well this season. Yeah. They're worried if they're going to be able to qualify for top 4 in Serie A. So, I just look at it as, we're already like the main objective right now, and it's Ralph Rangnick's brief, is to get in the top 4. That's what United care about this season. Mm-hmm. It hasn't gone the way they've wanted, and they're already just thinking about the summer. Richard Arnold's the new chief executive. He's thinking about, okay, who's the new manager going to be in the summer? What's the coaching staff going to be in the summer? Which of these players are even going to be here in the summer? Exactly. But so many people, their contracts expiring, etc. So, to me, it's just I can understand why they just if they got offered these people, they just went, you know what? Just not now.
Yeah,
not now. We'll do it in the summer.
We've got bigger fish to fry.
Exactly. That's what it's true. That's the situation.
We've got bigger fish to fry.
So. Exactly. And then when it comes to those people that even went out on loan, Martial, Van der Beek, United were insistent. No obligation to buy, no mandatory optional buy, because again, they've said to them, we don't know what the future looks like. Yeah. So you're not playing right now, but you might the first game of next season, because you might have a manager that comes in, Ten Hag or even Poch. They would say absolutely, they would be straight into my team sheet. Yeah. So that's what it is at the moment, isn't it? It's just no one knows.
Yeah, and we still got like Sancho coming back, Pogba coming back. So, you know, we're just gonna have to just get through it. I think we're just gonna have to get through it, and that's that.
Exactly. I agree. Well, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. What's on tap for the rest of the week? Tomorrow, there'll be a press conference and a preview, so I've got that to look forward to. Friday, of course, it's game day. It's a match day, so we'll have road trip. We'll have match view, match reaction. We'll be back. Football will be back. How exciting is that? Oh, thank God. I mean, we talk about it, don't we? Oh, we need a winter break in this country, and then we get one. We're like, oh, it's horrible.
It's been forever, man. It's literally been forever.
Yeah. It feels horrible. But then I think we've got loads of football then coming up, because we've got obviously fit games in, postponed games, etc. So there's going to be plenty of stuff to come, which is very exciting. So look forward to that. Anyway, guys, we're out of here. Have a good evening. And also, you can watch the Old Firm now. I think Ahmad's playing for Rangers against Celtic.
He played well the other day.
He very well. Got a goal. Imagine he gets another one. This is why I said he should go to Rangers. That atmosphere. Quality stuff. Anyway, guys, we're out of here. Peace.
Peace.